This is SoulCharge, the podcast for women leaders to take the highest level of ownership of their power to create results now. I'm your host, Stacy B. Let's dive in. Your future self needs you to be decisive. And there are little things that you're currently doing that are eroding your progress to claiming your future self now. Let's dive in. Being decisive is something that comes so easily to you. I know it does to me too. And what is so interesting is that it is my decisions and it is your decisions that is holding me back from fully activating my future self, and it's holding you back from fully activating your future self. The thing about this topic is that it isn't exactly what you think. At first glance, making decisions is very easy for you and for me. And one of the things that is completely eroding our progress and making things take longer, involve more team, is a total energy drain, boils down to decisions that are being made and dug up not minutes later, weeks later, or months later to be rehashed, to be revisited, and are completely sabotaging your progress, and in my case, my progress forward. Decisions alone are absolutely a part of being a successful woman leader, obviously, right? You're listening to this and you're like, duh. But what's so interesting is the time and the speed connected to how quickly you decide matters, especially as an entrepreneur, especially as a leader in what you're doing. If we can make decisions quickly, we can make those decisions and rebound if they don't go well quicker than if we oscillate or mediate or ruminate on a decision over and over again. And that's all obvious. And maybe this is just a quick refresher for you, a good refresher rather, right? Where you're listening to this and you're saying like, yeah, I can totally reflect on my business and my life and see where things are hung up and notice that I can boil those things down to my decision-making speed, how quick I'm making decisions. But there's also another conversation I want to have, and that's the purpose of this episode today, is that when you're making decisions, the things that are not moving forward at the speed of light or as quickly as you want them to, or supported by team members, is because of two things: how much you're behind those decisions. In other words, what's your level of ownership behind it? That's thing one. And thing two is, are you making these decisions and not revisiting them anymore? So my experience with this is really interesting because I am very decisive. And what I noticed over my career is that when I would make a decision and then have to think through the how of how that decision would come to life, I would see and notice that I would get lost in those details and it would overwhelm my system, so to speak, where I was making the decision, but negotiating with myself in the decision, if you will, because what was happening was I was getting lost in the how versus thinking through, who could help me with this or what's a better solution, so that I don't have to be the one thinking through this or doing the thing. But there's this key behavior that I think women leaders, when it's brought to the surface, when it's brought into the light, it's such a powerful energy. It's such a powerful tool to really hold yourself to a higher standard of how you're going to make decisions and stand behind them. And once things are decided, that you actually don't allow yourself to ruminate or revisit them in less of an extreme circumstance. And I'll leave that up to you as far as the standard you want to put in place. But the message here is this, is that there are times in your life right now that you are making a decision and then you're changing it. or you're not behind it. And so someone gives you feedback and you change. Maybe you're launching something and someone gives you feedback that the market's not ready for that. And so you pause. And so that is not a decision. A decision is you having an unwavering conviction and energy behind it that come hell or high water, this is what you're going to do. Leave no stone unturned. That has a completely different energy than if you are making decisions and then unearthing them or digging them up. Because here's what happens is when you're revisiting decisions, when you're revisiting topics, every time you do that, you're not just taking your focus away from vision, what's next, what you really want. Listen, you may not be the visionary listening to this. You may be in a different role. But the fact of the matter is you have desires. You have wants that you are not willing to settle for anything less than getting that thing. And this is for you because every moment that you take your attention from your decision, you allow chaos to enter your world because what you're saying is, I'm open to kind of whatever possibility. And that's not you. You are decisive, you are engaged, you are devoted, and you are absolutely committed to seeing things through. And so when we make a decision and we revisit that decision, it's not just mental waste. It is not just resource waste with team not being able to move forward. It's also waste on your spirit. And that's what I want to shine a light on today. And this is coming from my own experience of when you are doing big things, your decisions are big. They are big and they impact a lot of people. And that is a lot of responsibility that you were chosen for, that I was chosen for. And that's the thing we have to remember is while these decisions may sometimes seem like they're all on our shoulders, you are so supported in making this come to fruition. I'll give you an example is when I wanted to bring the SoulCharge centers to the physical locations. I found this building. I made an offer on the building. I ended up negotiating an unheard of deal with the owner and closing a couple weeks later. And all of the contractors that I needed, I was clear in who they were, showed up. It just moved like clockwork. What was the key component of that? What was the key component of every single time that I have launched a venture and it's been successful is that I made a decision, I kept making decisions, and I stuck to those decisions no matter what. And that's the thing is that the moment that you open yourself up to consideration, the moment that you deviate from that decision, like I was saying earlier, it's not just that the decision stalls, your spirit stalls. What you're doing every time that you deviate, every time that you decide something and you go and dig it up, you are activating doubt in yourself. You are affirming in your unspoken by your actions to yourself about yourself in how you're moving through the world. You are embodying hesitation. You are embodying delay. You are embodying doubt. That is affirming the same to you. And so while this episode is about decision, it's also about who do you want to be in the world? Do you want to be someone that shows up for yourself in the way that is convicted and clear and decisive? Or do you want to leave the side door open once in a while and let other possibilities in the side door? No. I know you. I know you that is listening to this episode, and I know your spirit. Your spirit is one that says, I want it. It is done. I get it. I want it. It is done. I get it. It's very simple. That's the other thing that happens when we are clear on our decisions is that when you powerfully decide and you say, there is no other outcome, I am not settling for anything less than this. That is the embodied energy. That is the energy that you bring out to the world, and life responds to you every single time. You are supported by contacts that show up out of nowhere. You are supported by staff or resources that you couldn't even predicted would come into your life, and it's all responding to who you're being. And so again, while this is a conversation around the power of decision and sticking to your decision, what I'm really inviting you to do today is to start looking at the way in which you're deciding in your world is making up how you are moving through the world. The decisions that you are making, and to the extent that you're sticking to them, that you are so convicted in that energy is manifesting into the world and how you're showing up in your presence, in how people perceive you, how relationships are built, and also is your superpower. When you are decisive, when you are convicted, and you are moving through the world in such a way that says, this is what I want, I will settle for nothing less, the world responds to that command, to that declaration, to that knowing that says, I honestly have no idea how this is going to come together, but I know, like I know, I am not willing to settle for anything less. So I don't care how it all unfolds. But what I do care about is that I'm so behind what I've decided that I won't let anything get in the way. In my own life, when I have seen things delay or get off track, or there has been chaos, like we all have those situations where it's like, what is this random chaos going, or what's going on in life where it's like you feel clear, you feel like you're directed towards the purpose and what the outcome is and what you're after, but it just feels like there's this random chaos or conflict or things going on. Every single time I can link it back to the decisions that I made or didn't make, or a decision in which I made, but if I'm totally honest, have been waffling on, or I've been standing behind a decision because I feel like I need to uphold an image, or I'm standing behind a decision because other people are relying on this. I don't want to let them down. That is another gap energetically when you're maintaining something that isn't true for you because of other people that are involved. Because the minute that you bring it back to you and you go, you know what? I'm really evaluating things and I can see where I've been holding on to this decision or being stubborn about this decision. And because I'm being stubborn and I'm in that energy around it, it's stuck. Like I'm in this stall. I'm in this world where the decision and myself, most importantly, like I can't move forward because I'm trying to appease or please or, satisfy all of these people that are involved. And I'm telling you that if you find yourself in that kind of a situation, the best thing that you can do for everyone involved is to get clear, make a new decision, and deliver that news quickly. And I'm telling you that when you are honest, first and foremost with yourself, you emit an energy that one shows others how to handle situations when you don't start out handling it, in the best way, but how to ebb and flow and adapt when you've made a decision and you need to make another decision that does put other people at risk or does change the plan. It's all about you being 100% behind the decision. I'll give you another example. I recently had a client and she was joking, but she had shared with me, that she had sent me this message and it was quite long and she apologized for it. And I said to her, own the fact that you sent me that long of a message. Don't be apologetic in the decisions that you have made. Own them fully. And if you can't own them fully, check yourself. Check yourself and say, am I going to stand behind this? When everything is coming at me, am I willing to fall on a sword, in this small example, that I send that long of a message? That's the way that, in this particular instance, that she processes things. Because here's the thing, is that when you show up fully embodied and behind what you're doing, life meets you. The support meets you. And in this small example I'm sharing about the client that sent me the long message is like, for her, she needs a space where she can just dump it all out. And that's what SoulCharge is, right? Is she's able to dump it all out. She's able to work through what's going on because there's no filter. And that is a small share to illustrate, get behind your decisions. Everything you're doing is a decision. If there are things that are happening that you don't like, look at the decision behind it. And I promise you that if you start to look at these decisions in this way and take them so seriously, that every decision made has consequences. Consequences, by the way, in this context are not negative. There are impacts of your decision. And indecision also has impact, right? Indecision also has energy, and revisiting things, much like I've experienced many times in my journey, only leads to a land of in between and delay and stall. And so if you can start to look at your decisions with reverence, if you can start to look at your decisions and once they're decided, get behind them fully, you are going to see your decisions unfold in a way that's quite beautiful, that honestly you couldn't expect. And when you are convicted, that conviction has an energy. That conviction says, I command that you deliver this to me now. I have no idea how it's going to happen, but this is my stance on it. That's a decision. So today, going forward, look at your decisions and commit to getting behind your decisions. Commit to no longer revisiting decisions once they're made, and watch how things unfold exponentially and rapidly in your favor. Are you loving SoulCharge? If so, hit the subscribe button, leave a review, and share an episode. We want to bring powerful content to women leaders each week so that women can be unleashed to create the results that they want now. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.